what's going on, Crossroads Life Groups? We are continuing walking through our Real series, and today we're talking about what real growth looks like. And we want to be growing towards Jesus. When we talk about growth in the church, we're more concerned about us growing toward the Lord. And so we talked about our overall health. We talked about how our spiritual health is connected to our physical health and our emotional health, our financial and relational health. All these areas in our life are very overlapped. And we started talking about how we need to really focus in on our why, on our purpose, on our motivation. Why do we do the things that we do? And I like to equate it to like working out. Why do we work out? You can have a million different reasons for your motivation, your why, to why you physically keep fit and exercise and diet and watch what you eat. And we started asking that spiritually, kind of the same way. Why do we do the things we do spiritually? Why do we pray? Why do we read our Bible? Why do you come to church? I think these are good questions for us to unpack in our groups, because oftentimes we're motivated by the wrong things. We're motivated by things like duty or guilt, or, well, that's just what we've always done, trying to win the approval of a spouse or a parent or even a pastor sometimes. But we looked at Philippians and looking at Paul's motivation for why he did things in his ministry and in his life in Philippians chapter 3. And I'd encourage you to read that whole chapter together with your group. That chapter is very powerful, but he says, I do it all for the surpassing knowledge. It's all about knowing Jesus. It's all about knowing who he is. I will count everything else in my life as rubbish and as not as good, because I want to know Christ. And so I hope in your groups you can start talking about these questions. These are like deep digging wells here that we need to focus on. Why do we do what we do? So when we talk about health, when you talk about health in your life and in your group, what's the first thing you think of? Do you think of physical health? Do you think of your emotional health? Or do you think of your spirit man? But I also want you to discuss, why do you think God cares about our physical health or our financial health or our relational health? And how do those overlap with our spirit man? And how can our spirit man influence, the physical? And how can we resolve issues in the spirit that can block our health in other areas of our life? But really, I think it's a good opportunity today to start discussing with your group, what is my motivation? What is my why in following Jesus? Why do I do the things I do? Why do I come to this group? Is it just to hang out, which is fine, it's a great reason, but man, is it to know God more? Has guilt been a motivator in your life? And how have you moved past that? Or how can you move past that? Again, I want you in the Word in Philippians chapter 3. Read that whole chapter together, because Paul is going through his motivation. He's going through his why. And I tell you what, some of my core verses for my life are found in that chapter. So find some verses that you can commit to memory, because these are foundational truths in the Christian faith. And then, what can you do today to grow towards Jesus? What can we do today that will affect our relationship with God, that will cultivate that relationship with God, that will grow God's kingdom in the world? That's the type of growth that we're into. We're not just into numerical growth. We're not just into financial growth. We want to grow God's presence and God's influence in our life and see his kingdom expanded into the world. So talk about these things amongst your group. It'll be some fruitful conversation, I'm sure. It'll take some vulnerability and some bravery to talk about some of these things, our motivations and things like that. But I tell you what, there's deep freedom that will be found as we open up to one another. So I'll leave you to it. grow towards Jesus. We love you.